Hello guys, in this video we're gonna speak about another kind from the mode of waves, which is the diagonals. The diagonal waves are pretty common in the charts. We see them in the beginning of the trends, whether bullish or bearish, and also we see them at the end of the trend. That's why we have the leading diagonal and the ending diagonal, and they are pretty close in terms of their laws and their guidelines. Almost the only difference between them is where we see them. But in terms of the internal waves, like we will see later, they look the same. They are arranged by the same laws. And there are many common things between the diagonals and the impulsive waves. So let's cut to the chase and see what do we have here. A normal wedge and expanded wedge. This is how we can see these patterns. So the rules of the diagonals are common with the impulsive waves. As I said, they have 5 waves structure, which means that we label them with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But first, let's say where we can see this pattern. Since we are talking about the leading diagonal can be seen in the wave 1 from an impulsive wave, or wave 8 from a zigzag pattern. And this is the first rule. The second rule, which backs to the internal structure, the wave 2 and wave 4 are corrections, while the wave 1 and 3 and 5, as they can be an impulsive wave, they can be a correction, which usually from the zigzag family, which means the waves 1 and 3 and 5, one or some or all of them can be corrections and can be also an impulsive waves. And we will see some examples from the charts, so the idea becomes more clearer. The third rule, which is about the shape of this pattern, as I said, it can be in a normal wedge like that, or an expanded wedge where it looks approximately like that. So the fourth rule says that the second wave should not go beyond the beginning of the first wave, which is a common rule with the impulsive waves. The third wave cannot be the shortest, like the impulsive waves as well. But unlike the impulsive waves, the wave 2 and wave 4 do overlap. The wave 4 pushes the price to the price range of the wave 1. So let's see an example from the chart. This example belongs to some of the forex pairs where we have in the beginning of a bullish trend a leading diagonal pattern, where wave 1 from this diagonal was clearly a 3 waves move. Wave 3, the same thing, it was not an impulsive wave structure. The wave 5 from this diagonal looks like an impulsive wave. In the same chart, we can see that we have a leading diagonal as a wave A from a zigzag pattern. This wave A is from the wave 2. The wave 1 from this diagonal looks like a 3 waves move, while the wave 3, the same thing, 3 waves move. And even the wave 5 was a 3 waves move. So as I said, all the waves 1 and 3 and 5, as they can be an impulsive waves, they can be a correction, which usually from the zigzag family, like we will see their rules later. We can also realize that we have a small diagonal as a wave 1 from 3, which is not as clear as the other diagonals, but we can see that we have a correction as a wave 1, and wave 3 was an impulsive wave, and wave 5 not very clear, but whether it is correction or an impulsive wave, it's gonna represent wave 5 from diagonal anyway. And then we saw wave 2, 3, and so on. Now let's move on to the ending diagonal pattern. First, let's say where we can see this pattern. Well, the location of this pattern is the wave 5 from an impulsive wave, or wave C from a correction, which means the wave C from a zigzag, or wave C from a flat pattern. The rest of the rules are literally common with the diagonal pattern, the wave 1 and 3 and 5, as they can be corrections. They can be also an impulsive waves, and the wave 2 and wave 4 are of course corrections. It comes either in a normal wedge or expanded wedge, but usually normal wedge. The second wave cannot exceed the beginning of the wave 1. The wave 3 cannot be the shortest. the whole structure is 5 waves, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And unlike the impulsive waves, the wave 1 and 4 do overlap. So again, let's see some examples from the chart to make the idea more clearer. Here we have an ending diagonal as a wave C from a zigzag. The whole structure is 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can realize here that we have wave 1 as an impulsive wave, an obvious 5 wave structure, an impulsive wave. We have wave 2, we have a motive wave structure here in the wave 3, and wave 5 was clearly an impulsive wave where we have wave 1. Here wave 2 from 5, wave 3 from 5, a running flat as a wave 4 from 5, and this is wave 5 from 5. Here is what we call a throw over, where we see that wave 5 pushes the price to break the trend that combines between the end of the wave 1 and the end of the wave 3. When that happens, we call it throw over. Ralph Nelson Elliott spoke about that in his book, which means that it can happen. That's pretty normal thing when you see or when you discover it in some of the accounts that you make it on your own chart. Anyway, we have an ending diagonal pattern here, and you see how it looks like, or how it can look like on the charts. Let's see another and last example from the examples that we will give today. An ending diagonal in wave 5 from wave C. It looks like in a expanded wedge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The internal structure of the waves 1 and 3 and 5. Here we have an impulsive wave as a wave 1, a motive wave also in the wave 3, which looks like an impulsive wave, and wave 5 was clearly a 3 waves move, which is a zigzag pattern. The common law used to say that the ending diagonal pattern should be 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3, which means that the wave 1 and 3 and 5 should be a correction from a zigzag family or a zigzag pattern, while the leading diagonal, it's wave 1 and 3 and 5, supposed to be an impulsive waves. But as you can see, whether this rule evolved or changed, we can clearly see from the charts that it became different, or that rule is no longer working. Now, whether leading diagonal or ending diagonal, the internal waves or the internal shape of the waves 1 and 3 and 5, as it can be in an impulsive wave structure or a correction, which usually, as I said, in a zigzag form. So that's it for the lesson of this video. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section. I want to see some interactions from you so I can give more, and also for the common benefit. I'll be glad to answer your questions and hear your opinion. So this is the rules of the diagonal waves, and I'll see you in the next lesson.